What up, world? I'm Steve. You guys are the crypto crew, and this is where we keep crypto simple and easy to understand. In today's video, it is an exciting one. It is how Ethereum is going to pass Bitcoin in April of 2018. We're going to cover three things in this video. One, how this is going to happen. Secondly, why April? And third, we're going to talk about how long do we expect this to last? How long will Ethereum be in first place? So before we jump into the video, I just want to give a special shout out to everybody that's in our crypto crew, helping our community grow so fast. I'm not doing it alone. It's with all of you guys, now over 4,600 subscribers. So if you guys are new, we welcome you into our crypto crew. Hit that subscribe button right now. Hit that subscribe button. Turn on post notifications, and let's get 100 likes on this video. Before we jump into the video, I just want to give a quick 10 seconds about myself. I started in stocks way back when I was 16 years old. And by the time I was 27, I wanted to leave corporate America, and I had two goals. One was to be my own boss for the rest of my life, and the second was to travel the world. Here we are 6 years later in 58 countries and crypto world travelers. So let's get into the video. As you guys know, each and every video, I have to say this is not financial advice. These are my opinions, and to be honest, I wish I never had to say that. So let's get into this video, right? We see the market cap at 392 billion. We have recovered from the lows. We're going to touch on whether or not we think that was the bottom. But let's get into why we're all here. How Ethereum will pass Bitcoin. We have to talk about this market capitalization chart. I love this chart. It's a very underrated chart. I wish more people paid attention to this chart because there's a lot of trends in this chart. So I really enjoy looking at the trends of markets, including cryptocurrency, and there's a lot here. For starters, each of these trend segments that we see in front of us, there are about 8 different trend segments. They're all about 3 to 6 months. So what I mean by that is, if we look at this orange line up here, this represents Bitcoin's dominance in the marketplace. That means whatever the market cap is, how much of that money is for Bitcoin. And we've got a bunch of colors down here, and they're continuously changing. But the blue line, this light blue line, is Ripple. This purple line is Ethereum. You'll notice that Ethereum just entered the mix fairly recently, just 2 years ago. And we have this white line, which is other altcoins. So we're going to talk about mainly those 3 colors. So let's start with the orange line. What you'll notice, again, is each of these trends is 3 to 6 months. So that means for 3 to 6 months, Bitcoin was in an uptrend. And then that trend ended, and Bitcoin was in a downtrend relative to all the other cryptocurrencies for 3 to 6 months. That doesn't necessarily mean Bitcoin went down in value. It just means that the altcoins grew at a faster rate than Bitcoin for 3 to 6 months, and then altcoins grew at a slower rate for 3 to 6 months. Everything moves in cycles and trends. It's very important to understand trends in the big picture of trends, especially in this marketplace, and you'll have a lot more success in this marketplace. So what we need to pay attention to, again, let's just take some numbers for some dates, for example. This one went from December to May, 3 to 6 months. And then we had a this downtrend from July, or another uptrend from July until December, and then from December to March. So all these are 3 to 6 months. And then we had another uptrend from March until September, and then from September until January. All these are 3 to 6 months. And then from January, we had, this is the time that altcoins really started to make a name for themselves. If you see here, Bitcoin's dominance was at 87, and then it went all the way down to 39. This doesn't mean Bitcoin's price plummeted. In fact, it increased, quite a bit during this period, but not as fast as altcoins. Altcoins really started to make a name for themselves during this run-up from December until June. So again, 3 to 6 months. And then Bitcoin kind of took over the marketplace and quieted everybody from June until this past December. So you'll notice each trend is 3 to 6 months, which is, we have to understand that big picture to understand what trend we're in now. So clearly, Bitcoin's dominance and Bitcoin controlled the entire market pretty significantly during this 3 to 6 months. This was actually 6 months. And then this current trend we're in is altcoin trend. I've talked about it in tons of videos. And there are so many YouTubers that are like, wow, I'm so surprised that Ethereum has held up pretty strong during this correction. That means they don't understand trends. It's right here in the charts. It's pretty, in my opinion, pretty simplistic, but we're in an altcoin trend right now, and we're only 2 months into it. So it started right here at Bitcoin's top, which Bitcoin was at a 65% dominance, and we had talked about it on numerous videos that this wasn't going to last long, and we expected this number to even potentially drop into the high 20s. We haven't had that yet because we're only 2 months into the trend. So this trend is going to continue. So if you say to me, Steve, looks like Bitcoin is back in an uptrend here. Not so fast. So trends for the history of Bitcoin have run in 3 to 6 month cycles. In fact, if you look at this little blip here, this was from March 29th until April 26th. So this was about a month of quote unquote Bitcoin taking back the uptrend. Let's look at and compare it to here. We were from January 10th until, today is February 8th. So just about a month. So if you look at the blip, we're seeing the same blip right here. Do we expect a drop like this? I don't. I don't think we're going to see this substantial from, for example, Bitcoin was at a 68% dominance all the way down to 39. It's not going to be that significant, but Bitcoin is going to be in decline compared to altcoins. That doesn't mean Bitcoin is going to go down. It just means altcoins are going to gain some momentum. And I expect that to happen when Bitcoin is consolidating. So we need to talk about, so we understand that it's 3 to 6 months. You have to understand that this particular occurrence with Ethereum has run exactly in 6 month increments. If we look here, from Ethereum's low was right here, October 15th, and then its high peaked here on May 18th. This was a 6 month increment here of a run up from Ethereum, its first one. And then Ethereum had a decline in market capitalization for 6 months. And then Ethereum from January 1st to June 19th, another 6 months, it had a very dominant run up. Now, Ethereum, in my opinion, is more undervalued right now than Bitcoin. And I really don't think there's an argument there. And I'll tell you a few reasons. One, Bitcoin is the big dog. It always has been, and it's in the headlines. Everybody knows Bitcoin. If you stopped a random stranger on the street and you asked them what Ethereum was, they're going to look at you like you have 6 heads. But if you said, hey, do you know Bitcoin? They're going to know it. But everything in today's marketplace, everything is built on top of Ethereum. All these ICOs, you see we have over 1,500 cryptocurrencies. Several hundred in the past few months, they're all built on top of Ethereum. So nothing's being built on top of Bitcoin. I still love Bitcoin, but I purchased Ethereum first before Bitcoin for a reason. I've talked a lot about Ethereum in a lot of videos. I'm really bullish on Ethereum. And according to these charts, we are going to pass Bitcoin in April. Looks to be about mid-April. So how did we get April? That's the second thing we need to talk about. So again, we have to look at the trends. The trends are telling us it's going to be around April. So we're getting relatively close and we're having some consolidation. It just so happens that this is going to coincide with a pretty big market correction, but Ethereum's at a 21% dominance, Bitcoin's at a 33, and we're in this consolidation period, which we see here. Now, I expect that the marketplace is going to be a little bit choppy in February, and we're probably going to, if we look at the chart for Bitcoin, Bitcoin is probably going to test this 11 to 12K range in the latter part of this month, and we're probably going to be rejected from those levels, and we're going to be on our way back down. And during March, we're going to have a little bit of consolidation period, potentially bottom out for Bitcoin as we predicted in the last video, and that's when Ethereum is going to take over, and it'll take a handful of weeks to a month. And by the middle of March, Ethereum is going to take over number one in the world for cryptocurrencies. So right now you see Ethereum's at a 78 billion market cap and Bitcoin's at 139 billion. Now, what we need to pay attention to are these trends. We're about right here in the trend. All right, you'll see these trends really coincide. Look here. Ethereum started its trend on December 26th. Ethereum started its trend on December 26th. This year, Ethereum started its trend on December 9th. So pretty much the same exact time this next year, it started its trend. And we had this upward move here. We had this upward move here. We have some consolidation here. We're about to have some consolidation here and followed by another big uptrend. Ethereum got as close before. It was 32% dominance and Bitcoin was at 40%. Now, actually it got 31 to 38. So it got pretty close, but Ethereum was still a baby. It was just fairly new still at this time. It's still new today, but it's going to consolidate a little bit and it's going to go on another run up. History repeats itself, guys. And if you look at the trends, they're all right here in front of us. So Ethereum is going to take over the number one position during this altcoin rally. Remember, this rally is going to last 3 to 6 months. We're 2 months in. So if these charts are speaking to us in the correct way, it should be in April. But the next question is, how long will this last? And again, every market moves in cycles. During the altcoin cycle, Ethereum is going to take over, but it's not going to be for long because the cycle is going to move back into Bitcoin's hand, and Bitcoin is going to go on a pretty big run. And it's gonna be something like this, where it was at a 37% dominance and it went back up to 65. So it almost doubled its dominance during its last run, and it's gonna do something similar. It's really gonna take a lot of the money from altcoins, including Ethereum, and it's going to be substantial. So I don't think it's going to last for long. Maybe Ethereum has the number one position for a few weeks, but I suspect that Bitcoin will change its momentum as it did here. As soon as we got close, it was the end of the altcoin rally. I think that Ethereum is going to get at the tail end of the altcoin rally and then have a few weeks in the lead, and Bitcoin should take over according to the chart. And here's another interesting chart I want you guys to think about. We're on Coinigy. We have Ethereum to BTC. So this is not in US dollars. a lot of you may not know this, but these numbers are satoshis. It's kind of like an easy way to say dollars and cents in a more exact fashion as opposed to pennies and dollars. So in the basic form, we look at the bottom here. Now this is Ethereum's chart compared to Bitcoin. So if you see December 26th of 2016, Ethereum was down here at around 600,000 satoshis, and it took about 6 months for it to get up here to 13 million. Now it went all the way up. You can see this wick was sold off, but it went up to 15, right? We had this consolidation period. This is where we kind of are in the trend of the 6 months. We're about 2 months in. We've topped for now. We're going to have a tiny bit of a downtrend, some consolidation before this next move up. And I expect us to pass this 15 million. We're going to set an all-time high with Ethereum. So you can see that this new trend started December 11th. It really correlates, guys. History repeats itself. I don't think we're going to go on this massive run because this was substantial. If we went from like 500,000 to 15,000, that's a 30x. That was enormous. If we did a 30x, that would definitely put us in the moon. So I don't suspect that we'll have that big of a move. We've already had a substantial move, but we're going to make new all-time highs. That's the all-time highs are going to be around the time that we overtake the lead, but it's just going to be at the tail end of the altcoin rally. Again, we have to think about the big picture and the movements of the trends. This is everything in this marketplace. We really have to see the big picture. They move every single trend that we've been in is 3 to 6 months. And that's why I'm so confused. All these YouTubers are saying, "Oh, Bitcoin is going to go back in this rally, and altcoins are going to die down." And I don't know where they're getting the information, but it's clear right here in the charts that this has been happening for the history of cryptocurrency. And a lot of people were surprised that Ethereum held up really strong during this during the market downturn. I don't know where they're getting the information, but I don't think anybody should have been surprised just because of the trend that we're in. And nobody should be surprised when Bitcoin overtakes number one, because that's what the trends are saying, that it's not going to be a long time. But I think that next year at this time, when we're in the altcoin rally around this time in January and February and March, I think that Ethereum is going to hold a lead. I really do. I think Ethereum is going to hold that lead in the number one. That doesn't mean Bitcoin can't go to 30,000 or Bitcoin can't go to 50,000. I think it will. But Ethereum at this time next year should have a firmer grip on number one. So those are the things I wanted to cover in this video. I do want to touch on real quick what we think about the bottom. So we put in this bottom in Bitcoin at 6,000. We made a video 2 days ago when I was in Greece. Now I'm in Spain. I was in 3 different countries yesterday, so it was a little bit crazy. I'm sorry I didn't post yesterday, but we had this bottom. What we're looking for when you have a bottom to have a turn of the momentum is volume. We've got the volume down here. What you want to see is what's called capitulation with the volume. That's just a fancy word that means we need a massive spike in volume to signal a change in the momentum, a change in the sentiment. So we had that. This is a huge candle right here. I mean, a huge volume right here that came in. In fact, it's the strongest volume we've seen in the past 4 or 5 months, which is great. But I still think that it's too early to call this a bottom. And anybody that's calling it a bottom just hasn't done their homework. And what concerns me is if we go here, let's go here to the week chart. What concerns me is that when we had this quote unquote bottom at 6,000, it was tough for us to sustain it. So we set a higher high here, a lower low, a higher low, and then we set a higher high and a lower low. So this next move that we had wasn't that higher than 8.3. So we topped out even at 8.4, and then this next move was 8.6, and we're seeing what's going to happen here. This is a pivotal moment. We need to keep setting some higher highs and higher lows. So this low that we had right here of 7.5, the next low cannot break that. So we're in a trend line. We need to keep setting higher highs and higher lows. So we have to set our next move up has to be higher than 8.6. And this low that we're going to move, we're consolidating now, but eventually we're going to set a new low. It's got to be higher than 7.5. We have to keep that momentum. But I think the bigger picture is going to come up here. We have to get above 10K. We have to close above 10K. And our next huge step is going to be 12.5. We talked about it in tons of videos. 12.5 was a massive line of support before, and then it turned into a massive line of resistance. So we need to pay attention to the support and resistance. They really tell a key story. So in the meantime, we need to set higher highs and higher lows. Then we need to battle above 10K, and then the big battle is going to be 12.5. And if we settle above 12.5, we're in really good position. But I think that we're going to battle above 10K, and I think 11 and 12K are going to push us back down. And I think we're going to set a new low. That's my opinion. That's what the charts are telling me. That's what my gut is telling me. I don't like to go by my gut. I like to go by the charts. In the charts, it's too early to tell. We have really good volume. We need to continue to set higher highs and higher lows. So that's where we stand there. But guys, the big picture is no matter if this is a low or not, the worst is behind us already. The worst is behind us already. We've already dropped, 70%. So we can't go that much lower. Even if we go to 3.5 like we talked about, 3.5, and I think that this was misconstrued a little bit. When we predicted 3.5, that was kind of the worst case scenario, and I needed you guys to be ready for worst case scenario. The best case scenario right now is this is the bottom, and it's not really showing signs like it is because we're struggling to set higher highs and higher lows. But we need to see how the next few days to a week play out. We need to test these barriers here, and we need to perform well. We still have a long ways to go, but will Bitcoin get back to all-time highs? Absolutely. And it's going to set new highs. It's just a matter of when, but it's going to be a little bit of a rocky February. So there's my big picture thoughts for you guys. Before I let you go, I've got a couple more things I want to share with you. One, you guys know that I designed these classes for you guys. I've got a whole bunch of students that have run through them. There's two classes. One is a beginner class, and it covers everything foundational. If you're very new to this industry, this class is for you, and it covers charts. It covers when to buy, how do you know when to buy, how much should you invest, what coins are good, what coins are bad. And then there's an advanced class. It really goes into detail with charts and investment strategy, two of the most important things in this industry. So if you're interested, those are in the chat and the description. Also, you guys know that I'm a world traveler, crypto world traveler, hence the hat. When you travel and when you're anywhere in this space, you need some Wi-Fi. So we've used, myself and my girlfriend, a whole bunch of different Wi-Fi all over the world. The strongest by far is this little guy. It's Internet of the future. Fits in your hand. It's a pocket Wi-Fi. It's incredible. You can connect 10 devices and use this all over the world, so you're up to date all the time in the crypto space. This is the last link in the description. Also, I need to make it clear that this industry is a little bit crazy. It's very complicated. It's hard to understand. That's why I have my Twitter in the description and I answer every human. Don't be afraid to ask questions. There are no stupid questions, but send me a message on Twitter and we'll get you hooked up with some answers. Last but not least, many of you guys may know this, but we've got a pretty big following on Periscope and Twitter. We're fairly new. I'm still fairly new to YouTube, but got a big following on Periscope and Twitter, and those are in the description as well. Would love to see you guys there. But if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button right here. Join our crypto crew, and thank you guys for being here, and thank you guys for being awesome. And I look forward to seeing you on the next video. Peace and love, everybody. Fist pound to the crypto crew.